Good morning, everybody. This is Zach, also known as Right Wing Dad, and joining me today we have Frost, and not joining us today is Mark. He has some stuff he has to take care of, but we wanted to put out an episode of the Bearded Federalist show now that Trump is going to be president again. And we kind of thought that we would talk about Trump's cabinet picks. But without further ado, this is the Bearded Federalist Show, and Merry Christmas. And so,
What?
yeah,
Merry Christmas? Oh,
but
fucking words.
getting into it, we kind of just wanted to go through and talk about, all of Trump's cabinet picks today, because there's some good ones and then there are some bad ones. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, we have Marco Rubio. He has been tapped as the Secretary of State. Now, Marco Rubio, as you know, is a senator from Florida, and he definitely has all of the qualifications. In my opinion, he's a bit of a neocon, and he is. I would say, in my opinion, he's kind of like a spineless coward. Hasn't really gotten anything done in the Senate. Um, for me, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way this past election when he's, a senator from Florida, and he was one of the only politicians other than Anna Paulina Luna who didn't speak out against Amendment 4. He talked about just about any other issue but Amendment 4 in his state. And that really just rubbed me the wrong way because, he's one of those politicians that, stands up for life at, when it's an election year, but when it really matters, he doesn't stand up for life. But, yeah, and those are just some of the personal opinions I have. But he's been in, the Senate since 2011, and he's the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He also ran in 2016 for president. But yeah, Trump said Marco is a highly respected leader and a very powerful voice for freedom. He will be a strong advocate for our nation, a true friend to our allies, and a fearless warrior who will never back down to our adversaries. I look forward to working with Marco to make America and the world safe and great again. Um, but yeah, I'm actually reading from the intelligence now, and right underneath it says, the potential issues. It says Rubio is known for his hawkish positions, particularly on China, Cuba, Iran, and Venezuela. Um, but as the Washington Post notes, he's generated bipartisan acclaim, and he's Trump's most conventional pick. Frost, what do you think about Marco?
So, I guess while we're before we like really start digging into these things, a few episodes back, one of our very early episodes, we stated that I did in fact vote for Donald Trump. I said then I was going to vote for Donald Trump, but I think that it is healthy for us on the political aisle, especially those that are his teammates, such as myself, or I at least fall in line somewhat into the MAGA whatever. I don't really claim the MAGA thing, but the right leaning. I think it is healthy for us to make sure that we praise our leaders when they do good things. A good leader will never take credit. As we know, Donald Trump always takes credit. But also will take. But a good leader will also take credit for the bad things and make sure that doesn't fall back on his people or her people. So my job now that he's been elected is to make sure that my voice is heard, and when he messes up, when he really does things that I don't like, my voice needs to be loud. It's just as loud when he does things that I don't like. Okay. So on these picks specifically, the question that I want to think for myself isn't necessarily, the pick. Right wing dad will give you the facts. He will give a little bit of history on each one of these. I might do the same. But I think the real question that we need to answer is, why were these people picked, and what is the strategic advantage of said pick? Okay, so Marco Rubio. I don't know what his Liberty score is, but it surely can't be 95%. He's I know for a fact he's voted on a couple of things that are just not quite right. At least they don't fall in line with the right leaning conservative values. Now, as for some of the things that Right Wing Dad pointed out for Marco Rubio, he's not loud and proud for life, when it really matters and that type of stuff. So, politically thinking, what
Also,
is
by
it?
the way, he has a 71%
Yeah,
Liberty score.
yeah. My guess was going to be 75. So, if he has like a his contingency, I can't even say it today. His the people that he represent, let's say it that way, since my brain is not working. Um, if they are not necessarily pro life, um, he may not want to specifically fall in line with that specific bill. That's come. Looks like we're going to have a visit from a furry friend. For those that don't know, this is Luna, and she's a scaredy cat, and she loves her dad. Just to let y'all know. So, as for Marco Rubio, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't really care about that pick. It doesn't.
Uh,
But to answer my questions, like, I think the reason why he chose Marco Rubio is just because he's MAGA, 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 and that's what he wants next to him right now. He doesn't want to have to worry about backstabbing. And a couple of these picks, it's probably going to be an answer for a couple of these picks. And you can definitely call me on my BS on those.
well, so for me, I personally like it because he's a senator. And so, in the House, you have special elections that take place to replace a representative. But
Mm-hmm.
for a senator, the governor appoints a new senator. And
Right.
Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida, thank God. So, I, knowing Ron DeSantis and his history, I don't think they're going to give in to all the media pressure. Right now, they're trying to get, Laura Trump to be senator. I don't know what her qualifications would be other than running the RNC for the past. It hadn't even been a year. She hasn't done a bad job. Definitely a better job than Ronna McDaniel, which I mean that bar is pretty damn low. Um, but
So
as
let's
far
let's
as Senate goes, I no, it needs to be someone that will actually get things done legislatively, has a history of legislation that could get things done and make, you know, the country better. And I just don't think Laura Trump would do that job. And as far as Marco Rubio goes, getting him out of the Senate and, putting him as Secretary of State, I think, that would be a good position for him.
so
Um,
let's on the Laura Trump issue. I'd like to go back to that. So you and Mark both are very factual and logical, and this is what we want, and we need a person like this. Okay, so let me see if I can rewire a little bit of thinking here. What would be the strategical advantage of Trump pushing for Laura Trump to be that Senate seat? And is there a strategic advantage for Ron DeSantis for picking Laura Trump for that Senate seat?
well, yes. So it would put him in good graces
Yep.
with MAGA. But
Yep.
here's the thing: Trump is president elect, which means in 4 years, JD Vance is going to be, the heir to the throne per se. And so, in my opinion, Ron DeSantis has never been a he's a leader. He's not a secondary, figure. But in my opinion, the best thing that could happen in 2028 would be to have JD Vance at the top of the ticket and have Ron DeSantis as his running mate. You want to
So
talk about getting like the Republican vote? You wouldn't even need a primary for that. Like that would be your ticket because all of the Haley voters are Democrats now. And so, you got that. But I think at this point, Ron DeSantis trying to run in 2028 is, you know, I wouldn't say dead, but it's going to be very hard with JD Vance. Unless these next 4 years are just terrible, I don't see it happening. And, right now, Trump, with his cabinet picks, other than a few of them, he's kept some of his promises so far. And I'm kind of excited to see where it takes us. And, that brings us to our next cabinet pick, uh, Pete Hegseth. I don't think anyone saw this one coming.
nope.
Yeah, like I thought it was going to be, one of the generals or someone in the military that is, still active, has a lot of military experience. Pete Hegseth has military experience, and he's a National Guard officer. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan,
Guantanamo
as
Bay.
well as Guantanamo Bay.
Yep.
He's got like 2 Bronze Stars,
Yep.
and he definitely wants to get the woke out of the military.
Yep.
And Trump said in his Truth Social post, Pete has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. Pete is tough and smart and a true believer in America first. With Pete at the helm, America's enemies are on notice. Our military will be great again, and America will never back down. Let's see. And here we have potential issues. Says, while Hegseth served in the military, he has no experience running anything larger than a small nonprofit. As defense secretary, he'd be in charge of leading the Pentagon and 1.3 million active duty troops. He has controversial views, from women serving in combat to service members accused of war crimes. He wants them pardoned. And he also said a long time ago he doesn't wash his hands. I think that was more of a joke.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's just a liberal talking point.
and of course now you have AP reported the other day. I actually saw this and thought it was absurd and makes me just want them there more. They already started what they did with Brett Kavanaugh,
Mm-hmm.
alleged sexual assault in 2017. And of course, at the bottom of the article that was linked, it says no charges were filed
Yep.
and no proof was found. And I'm like, really? Like, there's no evidence. Why is this even a story? And of course, a fellow service member flagged him as an insider threat because he had the Jerusalem cross tattooed on his chest.
Yeah, which I don't understand.
And
What's so bad about that?
yeah, nothing, absolutely nothing is wrong with it. And it just makes me, upset when I see those type of things. It just kind of makes me want to root for them harder.
Yep.
And of course, our military right now, it needs to get better.
Yep.
Recruitment needs to go up. We need to get all of this woke crap out of the military.
Agree.
And I watched an interview with Pete Hegseth the other day, and he was explaining why women shouldn't be in combat roles. And I absolutely agree with him because he said it's not that they're not capable, because obviously, you serve with women and they're very capable, but at the end of the day, when you have a mission, you're going to send the men in first on front lines, for one reason, because if they were to get captured or anything, women are more likely to be raped. They're
Yep.
more likely to be kidnapped, assaulted, tortured. Um, and that's just the truth of the matter. Whereas men, they'll probably get killed. But yeah, and so the way I think of it is, I mean, they can still serve, absolutely, but as far as combat roles, men are stronger, uh, and have been for not just American history, but all throughout human history, and that's biology, folks.
Yep, that's it. All right, Luna. I have an image to protect. I'm supposed to be mean and rough, and you gotta go. Gotta go.
Yeah, if anyone was wondering, it makes complete sense. He's a cat person.
I'm actually a dog person, but my wife is allergic, so cats are my cats. I love my cats. I'm
Mm.
not gonna lie, I do.
But yeah,
Um, but Pete Hegseth, so I'm actually a huge fan of him, of his. He has a couple um, big points that I give the thumbs up on Pete Hegseth for. So I definitely get the argument that he lacks a lot of experience with leading large groups. I think the biggest that he's ever actually led is like a platoon, which
which isn't a bad thing.
is not a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing either. Like I've marched a platoon myself. It's I've led a platoon myself in training, but it's still I don't have the combat experience he does, but it's not that big of a deal. Um, I
At
will
the end of the day, he's going to have people around him too. I mean, obviously, he's going to have the final decision, but it's not just a one person job. Like,
right.
you have people around you advising you, and that's how it is with a lot of things.
Yep.
It's not just the one person job, and half the time, you have all these bureaucrats that get into power, and they have all of these favors and money from
Yeah.
lobbyists that they take. And so it'd be nice to have someone in there that
Yep.
actually cares and wants to get the job and an agenda done.
Yep. And speaking on his caring, like one of the things that I really like about Pete Hegseth is that he does like these veteran awards every year, and he's really big. Like I think I actually watched Fox News this morning because I knew that there was going to be a segment on Pete Hegseth, and I wanted to get their point of view. So a lot of you guys know Joey. He's the EOD guy. Same job that I had when I was in the military, and he lost his legs in Iraq or Afghanistan, in the Middle East. And he specifically said that Pete Hegseth was the guy that opened doors for him. This specifically helped him. So if for somehow Pete Hegseth sees this discussion, Pete, please look up Regiment. There are a bunch of guys that work with the VA there. They work with the American Legion. They're partnered with the American Legion. There's a bunch of guys in there that you will definitely want on your team if you can. There's a couple other positions that I think they could fill within the government. Some, especially the guys that have been. They were talking about 50,000 veterans. We are 50,000 strong, I believe now, and these guys have been working for like 6 years on. They help suicide prevention. They help with the VA stuff. They help just basic communication between veterans, all the way from the guys that just did like basic training in AIT, like I did, and all the way to the guys that did like 3 tours in the Middle East. They bring them all together. Find positions for these guys. You want them on your team, please.
Yeah.
I don't know if they will accept, but make it worth their while.
Yeah.
So
And
I think Pete will be just fine.
yeah, absolutely. That actually is going to get us into our next part of the cabinet. I actually don't know too much about this guy, Doug Collins. He is the Secretary of Veteran Affairs. Now, me personally, I actually thought Tulsi would have done well in this position,
Yep.
but we'll get to her a little bit later.
This
So,
is another guy that could potentially use the assistance of Regiment GG, especially with the veteran stuff. Like, oh, I just need a little whisper in Donald Trump's ear. I just need to get that message out that there's so many guys that could help them
Yeah,
So
and
many open positions.
so I actually don't know too much about Doug Collins, but he's a former congressman from Georgia, served from 2013 to 2021. He's a lawyer and he's a veteran that served in the Iraq War, and he's currently an Air Force Reserve chaplain. And so
Uh,
that'll be interesting.
was he also a Fox News analyst at one point?
I don't know.
I know his face and I know his name, but I want to say he did a lot of interviews when he was, and I specifically remember him.
But this brings into question Trump is definitely rewarding loyalty,
Yes.
and because Collins, 4 of the 8 Republicans who defended Trump during his first impeachment proceeding, have been nominated, and Collins is one of them. Um, but yeah, he seems like a good pick. Veteran affairs, and he's a chaplain, so he's obviously religious and he cares.
He
Hopefully,
has a lot of work to do.
yeah, a lot of work.
A lot of
There's
work to do.
so much stuff that needs to be done, and what I want to see is the VA partnering more with nonprofits and churches and everything else. And I would like to see Veteran Affairs and the Department of Government Efficiency run
Yes.
kind of link up, because all of that money that is being spent, for studies of how fast does ketchup fall from the bottle in 24 hours that they'll spend $1 million on, put that towards our veterans. Like, quit sending Ukraine and Israel money. As much as I'm on Israel's side, we need to quit sending them money and start caring about our veterans who have fought our wars. Because why? It sends a message. If we don't handle our veterans with the respect and the care that they deserve, why would anyone want to recruit or be recruited and
Yep.
go serve? Like, if you know
If
why
you know you're going to be thrown into the trash once they've used you up, yeah, of course. Then, and I think there was some discussion on X, about some of the things that Pete Hegseth and, the VA, and so Doug Collins now, could actually do. Help get rid of veteran suicide, take care of veteran homelessness, and make the VA actually do something so people stop complaining about TRICARE in the VA.
yeah.
If you can take care of those three things, our current issue with recruitment in the military will disappear overnight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so this will bring us to our next pick, is John Ratcliffe, a CIA director. He's also a former Texas congressman. He actually served as the director of national intelligence in Trump's last year of his first term. Um, but he's done a lot to expose the fake Russian collusion from the Clinton campaign, and so, but also, when the intelligence officials were lying about Hunter Biden's laptop,
Yep.
uh, John Ratcliffe was one of the only ones telling the truth to the American people. And he's definitely a Trump loyalist, and defended him during his impeachments. And so, yeah, it also
So
says he declassified unverified Russian intelligence involving Hillary Clinton shortly before the 2020 election. Um, but yeah, apparently they see him as a largely professional and potentially less disruptive choice in
yep.
Trump's cabinet. So
So
obviously,
back to some of my original questions. What's the strategic advantage of picking some of these people? And some of our viewers might be like, oh well, X person so and so would actually be a better pick than this person, but does Trump have to watch his back with that person? Or,
yeah,
you know what I'm
and
saying? So I think that John Radcliffe is probably not only a thank you, for defending him, but also, you don't have to worry about that guy trying to, stab him in
Well,
the back.
and absolutely, and I think it brings in, a really good point that I've seen a lot of people make is, Trump in his first term, he listened to a lot of people and put a lot of, rhinos or
Yep.
people that he didn't fully know he had their qualifications, but he put them in high ranking positions. And then those people just despise Trump and now they won't work for him. I mean, you got like John Bolton, you've got John Kelly, put
Yep.
him as his chief of staff. But
I don't
now
think anybody really
he's,
liked John Bolton when he was. I was never really a big fan of his.
yeah, and so he's not, he's definitely rewarding those that have been loyal to him, and I think that will serve him well going forward. But yeah, I think that one is a good pick. We're about to get into some. Well, I'll do one more that isn't, you know, controversial, or a few more, and then we'll do our controversial ones last.
Yeah, those are going to be
Next,
fun.
yeah, next we have Lee Zeldin as EPA administrator. Um, as people know, he was in the U.S. House of Representatives from 2015 to 2023. He ran for governor in the last midterms, but of course, Kathy Hochul defeated him. Sadly, it wasn't surprising. It's New York, but I actually like Lee Zeldin. Um, but yeah, EPA administrator. I really don't know too much about what the EPA does other than, uh, stuff that has to do with like the environment.
Yeah, that's
But
they do that chemicals and stuff like that.
yeah, but I mean, I'll trust Trump on this one. And Lee isn't exactly, he's not dumb. So I feel like he'll do a good job. Uh, but yeah, you got any comments on him?
No, I don't. I don't really actually know. I don't know much about him, um, and he probably has lot of work to do. To be honest, I bet you EPA is one of those. Uh, I have a gut feeling that the EPA is probably going to be one of those that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy kind of dig into quite a bit, and it will probably take a lot of Mr. Zeldin's assistance with that as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah.
So just trying to cut the fat out and um, yeah, I have a feeling that that one's going to be heavily DEI oriented. I think he's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Oh yeah.
So as for strategical advantage, I don't know enough about Mr. Zeldin to really that might actually be something that I research and we can talk about next week. But um, yeah,
Yeah, and so next we have Doug Burgum as Secretary of the Interior. He's obviously the governor of North Dakota. Sold his software company to Microsoft in 2002, and he ran for president. And not many people really knew who he was before then. I definitely didn't. Um, I don't know. What does Secretary of the Interior do?
um,
That's a legit question because.
I think they do like labor, energy, commerce, defense, and treasury. I think they have like a large oversight over like specific to like monuments and I think Indian reservations. I think that the Secretary of Interior is over. I think like your fishing license and wildlife preservation and
Okay.
things like that. I'm pretty sure that's what the interior because it's the same thing as transportation, just not transportation. It's all the everything else. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it also says that he will be Interior Secretary and head of the newly formed National Energy Council, which will consist of all departments and agencies involved with permitting, production, generation, distribution, regulation, transportation, and all forms of American energy. And honestly, I actually thought that would have been a good place for him to go anyways, because, he's pretty big on energy and the environment. And I think there is a smart way to be concerned about the environment without going overboard and, mandates for electric vehicles and just taking people's freedoms away.
Yep.
And a lot of the stuff that has to do with making the earth a better place. If it's not going to be done in China, then there's no point, because China is one of the biggest polluters in the world.
Yeah, did you see that recent study about how the UK and the United States have we've like plummeted our gases and stuff, and China is exponentially growing?
Yeah, well, again, they make just about everything now, but the problem is they have so much air pollution and so many like just junk and scrap yards over there that it's
And they're
just
building coal plants as well.
yeah, exactly. And so until China gets on board and actually makes a difference,
Yeah.
there's no point in the rest of the world, trying to pick up the slack for all of them. But yeah, I think he'll do, a good job. Let's go to the next one. So we have Elise Stefanik. She is going to
Mm.
be ambassador to the United Nations.
Yep.
And so I don't really know too much about her. I hear her
Oh.
name all the time, but you know, I don't know
So
if this is a good or
this
bad pick.
this
I
is
know.
what I know about Elise Stefanik. So she's a New York congresswoman or
Hmm.
senator or something like that. I think congresswoman, and she's very loud spoken. She is a Republican, but if you look at her Liberty score, I will bet that it's probably like it can't be higher than 50. I would guess between 35 and like 45. I would be shocked if it's even over 45% on her Liberty score.
Well, so some of this is strategic because it's getting people
Yes.
out of the house, and
Yes.
yeah, I mean, who's
So
going to replace her? Obviously, in her district, it's a pretty red district.
I
So,
think personally this was a strategic move, but not in the same way that you're thinking right now with the districts and New York and all that stuff. I think this is an FU to the UN because she does not like those people and those people do not like her.
oh wow, you're right. Her Liberty score is a 48. Good lord.
48. I am shocked it's even that high. I am shocked that it's even that high.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have that is one that I've actually been paying attention to because she's a loudmouth super MAGA whatever. But then when it's actually time for her to vote, also keep in mind that she's also in a very blue state. So even though her district may be red, she I would guess that her district is red because the independents are currently leaning red. And if she goes
Yeah.
too far
Well,
to the right, so think about it politically, it may not necessarily be what they specifically want. What do the people that they represent want, and that's what they're going to vote for. So if she thinks that that's what the people want, then that's
now
what they're
I will say one thing I already like about her is she has repeatedly accused the UN of being plagued by anti Semitic rot and proposed blocked funding for the UN for Palestinian refugees.
Yep.
And so I do kind of like that. Obviously, refugees need to be taken care of, but at the same time, like, quit attacking Israel. Like, the war could end if Hamas surrendered and, gave all of the hostages back, but
My my
they don't
personal
seem to
opinion
do that.
there, real quick on the Hamas thing. I think the only way that that's going to end is they would literally have to give up everything. They all would have to surrender. They'd have to give up all the hostages, all their leadership, all their minions. They'd all have to be over there. That Israel would have to come in and literally handcuff all of them.
Oh yeah,
That's the only way. That's the only way
and
this
they're not
ever
gonna
ends.
they're not gonna
It's
do that.
They'll end up bombing it and bombing it and bombing it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
But yeah. All right. We will move on. Let's see. How about we do Christy Nome,
Oh Jesus.
Secretary of Homeland Security. Now,
Oh.
see, I personally, I don't like Christy Nome at all. I don't like her, and not just for a lot of the reasons. There's just a lot to say about her, and a lot of people. There's a lot of controversy because she killed her dog Cricket 20 years ago, and my thing is, I think in an interview she said she didn't realize that was in the book, and I think it's because she hired a ghostwriter to write the book for her and then just put her name on it. Um, but I don't like her because during COVID, she tried to actually shut her state down and put mandates on her state, but
Yep.
her legislature wouldn't allow her to. And so she wasn't able to. And then now, 4 years later, you know, she's taking credit and saying, "Oh, I never locked down my state." And I'm like, "Well, you
You
definitely
wanted
tried
to.
to. Your government just didn't let you."
Yeah.
And on top of that, this past election, there was an Amendment G, which, as you know, here at the Bearded Federalist Show, we stand up for unborn lives. And so when that abortion amendment was on the ballot, she didn't mention a single time about voting no. I feel like if every governor could have been like Ron DeSantis and been like, hey, vote no on this. This is what this bill entails. This is what it's going to do to our state, to what it's going to do to the taxpayers. It would be that they wouldn't have passed in some of these states, especially like Missouri. In Missouri, it passed. And luckily in South Dakota, it didn't pass. But I mean, still, if your own governor isn't going to come out and tell you to vote no and then try and say I stand for life, it's just BS. And I
Yeah.
personally don't like that. I think we probably could have gotten someone better, at least for Homeland Security. Um,
I think this one is a strategic. I think this one is a strategic pick. I wish I would say that this is one that this is the worst one. It's not, sadly.
yeah, no, no.
But I also think that she may have a hard confirmation hearing. Do I think she's going to ultimately get confirmed? Yes, I think she's ultimately going to get confirmed.
I
But
see. I feel like this, and we'll get to this. There are other cabinet picks who will have a harder time getting confirmed and probably not get confirmed.
yep,
But I think it will allow the rest of them to just squeak on by because they're going to focus all of their time on these said people. Um, and I think Tulsi is one of them, but also, we'll get to it later. Um, we'll get to Matt Gaetz later.
yeah,
But yeah. But as far as, Homeland Security goes, I think as long as she gives Tom Homan, who is
yep,
the border czar, as
yep.
long as he has free range to do whatever he needs to do, I think she'll do a great job
Now,
because
I
Tom Homan,
I
he
I do think
is
that's one of his best picks
by far.
by far.
Hearing him in every interview, hearing him shred AOC during a House hearing was one of the best things ever because he's
Yep.
literally just quoting the law and she has no retort coming back. It's truly amazing. And he's one of those guys that's been in ICE, been on the job for 40 years, rose through the ranks, and will get the job done, wants to get the job done because I'm pretty sure he had retired, but he's coming back because
Yeah.
he wants to get this done.
I
He
really
wants to make the
wish
country a better place.
I really wish that he was given the Homeland Security job and somebody from like Texas was the border czar.
Well, the way I look at it is if he were just in charge of Homeland Security, he would have other priorities than just the border.
Yeah. And I guess since
Whereas,
the border is the thing that he does know, okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
he would, in a way, it'd be like giving Dan Bongino Homeland Security when all
Nah,
of his knowledge is Secret Service.
I
Like
do
he
think
could
him.
focus. Yeah, I do too. And
Yeah,
even though I'm not a huge Bongino
yeah, me
fan,
neither.
put people where their expertises
Right.
are.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, and so that's going to bring us to some of our more controversial picks now. And there's quite a few, actually. I thought there were only like two or three, but there's like four or five. We've got Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Now, I like Tulsi. I don't want her in a position to where she has influence over policy because even though she's changed to Republican, there's still quite a lot that I don't know if her stances have changed from when she was a Democrat. Obviously, I thank her for her service. She's a veteran. She cares about veteran, but I still remember she was pretty pro choice, and there's a lot of other issues that I just didn't agree with her on. But as far as Democrats go, or former Democrats, she's pretty sane, and I think she will do a good job. It's definitely pissed a lot of people off, her, being put in this position mainly because uh, Democrats and a few Republicans have called her a Russian asset, and you know, I I just haven't seen any proof of that other than a few things that she said. But I was watching Ben Shapiro the other day, and he was given the context of what she said, and she ended up being right. Um, but yeah, it said she's got no formal intelligence experience and known for her sympathetic views toward Russia and Syria. And of course, Elizabeth Warren summed up her critics' concerns, asking, do you really want her to have all the secrets of the United States and our defense intelligence agencies when she has so clearly been in Putin's pocket? And I'm like, well, if Elizabeth Warren is freaking out about it, it must be a good pick because,
Yep.
I don't take Elizabeth Warren serious because, she lied about being Indian. Um, but yeah, I guess she's going to have a tough time because I would say out of the three, she's, it's hard to put top three that are going to have the hardest time. I think it's going to be Tulsi, RFK, and Matt Gates. But yeah,
I'd agree
I,
with
I
that.
think I think she's going to get confirmed, but it's going to take there's a few Republicans that are neocons and establishment that are going to have to fall in line per se.
And there's going to be some Democrats that are going to be mad because she switched sides.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, that's really all I have on Tulsi. I mean, I like her. I think she'll do a fine job. Um, she'll put people, you know, in positions that will inform her so that she can inform the president. And so,
I'm
yeah,
I'm, I'm honestly surprised she didn't get like Veteran Affairs or
exactly. See, I would have
which
liked
I
to see
think I would
her.
prefer her, yeah, in Veterans Affairs
Yeah,
side of things. But yeah, I think Tulsi will be fine. I don't think she really has a whole lot of. I think the new Doge department will probably help her clean house. So
yeah.
she'll have to do a whole lot of that. But outside of that, I don't think she's going to have a whole lot of work except for the initial set there. Should be fine.
Oh yeah.
Should be fine. Tulsi Gabbard will be fine.
Yeah, yeah. I think she'll end up getting confirmed. Um, it may take a little longer for her, but I think ultimately she'll get confirmed. Um, the two that are going to be the most controversial, at least among Democrats, among Republicans, he will definitely get confirmed. is RFK Jr.
Yep.
Now, I like RFK Jr. I don't agree with him on a lot, but again, the areas where I do agree with him is what he's going to be in charge of. And I think Trump is brilliant in doing this. He's definitely, it's showing that he's keeping his promises
Yep.
and he's going to, you know, actually get some of his agenda done. And so putting him in charge of health and human services is going to be huge because I don't know how many other people do this, but so my wife and I, we haven't given our son all of the vaccines. We've given him, you know, some of the ones that are kind of essential. We have not given him the COVID vaccine and will not give him the COVID vaccine. Haven't given him the flu shot because, unlike, you know, a lot of people, I've never had the flu shot and I've never had the flu.
Every
And
single time
so,
that I get the flu shot, I always get sick.
yeah, and just about everyone I know is the same. We have not given our son the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella. Um, we asked our pediatrician, like, hey, do we have to have this? And he's like, if you don't want to give it to him, you don't have to. And that was pretty important when we were trying to find a pediatrician because obviously it's not for everyone, but in my family, I have a cousin who got the MMR vaccine, and within, I want to say, 24 to 48 hours of getting it when he was like 3, he had some weird reaction or to that vaccine, and he is now like severely autistic. I'm not saying it causes autism. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everyone's body is different. Everyone's body reacts to things differently. And so I don't want that for my son because, you know, if you have a 3-year-old and they're talking, they're doing all of this thing, and then you throw in a vaccine and within 24 hours they just revert and they're like a different child
Yeah,
now,
that's a
it
problem.
makes you think differently. And I would say the same thing about my body. When I got the COVID vaccine, I lost my taste. Usually that happens when you get COVID, but for me, I had my taste back, and I even remember I went to Frost's bachelor party, and I had kind of gotten my taste back from COVID by that point. And then a few weeks later, I got the vaccine, and my taste just it changed. It didn't disappear, but there's just certain things that I can't eat anymore. For instance, coffee, chocolate, peanut butter, most sweets, and there's a few other things, but majority the things that make you the happiest in life, I can't eat those anymore because they just taste terrible. And so I blame that on the COVID vaccine. Um, and so I think putting RFK in a position to where he wants to make America healthy again is a good thing. And for the people that want COVID retribution, RFK is
Yep.
literally going to be the best case scenario for it. You know,
So one of the biggest things that I've seen over the past week or so. How long has it been now? 11 days as of recording since Trump was elected.
yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, let's just call it 10, 11 days. So the day after Trump was elected, all the big major pharmaceutical companies had a big meeting, a secret whatever
Hmm.
meeting, and they are freaking out. Their stocks are now plummeting.
Oh,
They
yeah.
know they're in trouble. They know it. They know they're in trouble.
Yep.
We are. I'm not, like a lot of the people that I work with or have worked with. They're like, "Oh, Caldwell, you're actually kind of a conspiracy theorist nut." And I was like, "No, you're just really stupid and you believe everything you read and see.
It just
And
hasn't come true yet.
so yeah, it just hasn't. And at the rate that conspiracy theories are happening, or at the rate that they're being proven true, a conspiracy theory is just an unproven truth at this point. I mean,
Well,
within
there's a
reason, but
difference. There's a difference between a Alex Jones conspiracy theory and an actual conspiracy theory that
yeah,
holds, actual water. Um,
yeah. So like
but
with the whole COVID thing, we had a discussion about it, about the whole getting the vaccine, and I was like, don't do it, bro. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not unless you absolutely have to. And like I understand your position at the time. I respect that, and I don't think you, given the information that you had at the time, you thought you were making the correct choice, and I probably would have made the same choice being in your position. Um, but I think one of my biggest regrets was um, with my job, and I got the J&J, I got the J&J vaccine. I wasn't putting that mRNA crap in
ooh,
my body. Um, is I filed for religious exemption via my job, and they were like, oh well, the Catholic Pope or whatever said that you have no base. Okay, cool. I'm not Catholic. I'm a Christian. There's a difference. I don't believe in all the sainthood crap that they do. I don't have, in my opinion, it's false idols. In that my if there's Catholics that watch this, it's my opinion. Just take it. Just take it. Okay. The only person that I believe in is Jesus Christ and Yahweh, my God, Lord and Savior. That's it. That's it. That's the person.
hmm
So anyway, so back to uh, RFK. I think we're about to see a big change in the mentality, especially with vaccines. I think we're going to have a lot more people thinking like you, Zach. A lot more thinking of people thinking like you. Well, if we don't actually have to have it, we're not going to do it. So, and if you do have it, is there a work, or if you do have to have it, is there a workaround? Like, can he go to school without the mRNA or MMR vaccine? Can he go to school without the whatever flu pneumonia vaccine? Can you get away with that, or can you get some exemption for it? Or he may even push that. I think a lot of our foods are also about to change. One of the biggest problems that I see that could happen, and I'm going to give this theory on the bearded Federalist show just so everybody knows, is that we could potentially have some type of food issue here in the next 4 years. Donald Trump deporting all of the illegals, and because we had so much illegal um, farm working, this is literally like slave labor. People,
oh yeah,
if you think that black people should if you thought slavery was bad, you should really think about what the illegals are doing in our country, and they're working hard. I promise you, most of them are working hard, and it's specifically farming our food. So I think there's that. Also with RFK basically standing in front of a bowl of a bunch of different types of foods, like a lot of those are like daily foods for a lot of people. And some people don't even know that the stuff that they're eating is bad. It's terrible for you. Like I like sweet cereals.
yeah,
Fruity Pebbles, love Fruity Pebbles. Do I eat it anymore? No, because I now know what is in it. I don't eat that
yeah.
crap.
And we're the as far as food goes, everything in America is just so unhealthy. I mean, you go over to Europe, like food is just
Way
different
different. Way
over
different.
there.
Yeah.
And but also, as far as illegals go, I think a lot of people when they think of illegals, they think of Latinos, and that's not true as far as what we've seen at the border. You see more people from other countries like China, India, and some from countries that just want to harm us. I don't think anyone is, concerned with Latinos in this country. Obviously, there are some like that guy that killed Laken Riley. Obviously, there's going to be those, and then there's Mexican drug cartels. But as a whole, I think, once we start, deporting illegals and everything and making changes to the food, we may see a rough patch for a little while, but I think overall it will get better. Like
Yep.
just like in Argentina, there was a rough patch with Javier Milei, but things are actually starting to look better in Argentina now.
Yep. I think
And
they actually had either just below or about the same inflation rate that we did like last month, like 2.75 or something like
yeah,
that.
he has
Yeah.
transformed that country,
Yep.
and it shows that whatever he's doing works. And that brings me to our next picks is Elon
Yes.
and Vivek running Department of Government Efficiency,
Yes.
or Doge for short. And I think this one is pretty awesome
Yep.
because they're not getting paid for this.
Yep.
They are literally running this for the next 2 years, trying to find, you know, where America can cut costs. And they posted something the other day that was just like a preview of like all of these millions of dollars that are just being spent that we can get rid of, and we can put that money somewhere else.
Also, if a department is claiming that they're using money for something that they're supposed to be doing, and if they're not doing it, they get the funds pulled.
Yeah, I think with them doing this, and you know Elon Musk, he is probably the one person who has made the biggest change in the world, and he gets crapped on for it. Everything he's done with Tesla, everything he's done with Starlink, everything he's done with SpaceX, especially here recently,
Yep.
and then what he's done for X or Twitter X, whatever you call it, and I usually still call it Twitter, just because I did for 10 plus years. But everything he's done for the world, and now he's wanting to make our country a better place. On top of running all of those businesses, he's doing this for free. Like the man already sleeps like 2 hours a night, and he doesn't live in a lavish mansion. I actually read in an interview he usually either sleeps where he works or he, you know, bums a couch at one of his friends' houses. Like, and if he does have a house, it's like 900 square feet or so.
Yeah. I think they actually added on like a. I think he has a room at work that he SpaceX and Tesla. I think he's got a room there.
Well, you can tell when people are very passionate about what they do and don't care about the money, because he doesn't pull a Jeff Bezos and have like all these different yachts. I mean, I'm sure he has one, but when you have people like him, for example, Mr. Beast is very passionate about what he does. That he literally lives in his warehouse, has a room, and that's where he sleeps, and then he goes to work in that his warehouse. And he bought all of his friends houses near there where they film to make things more efficient, and I think that's awesome. Obviously, Elon and Vivek have a large problem ahead of them,
Yep.
but I think Trump's goal was to have it done by sometime in 2026, ahead of America's 250th anniversary. And I'm honestly glad that Trump is president during this time. He's going to be president during that. He's going to be president during the 2028 Olympics. And he's going to be president during, I think, the World Cup. Um, but yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yep.
But
I don't
all of
think I have anything extra to say about Elon and Vivek. I think he pretty much covered all the bases. Um, I think the biggest takeaway here is that, yeah, sure, they're not getting paid. It's not an official government job. Also, any major changes will require legislation. So it's not like they're not going to go out and cut your social security checks tomorrow. Okay, don't believe that stupid crap you
Yeah, yeah,
on me. It's not happening. Not
but and this is my thinking. I think he's giving them 2 years as well because that's also when the next midterms
Yep.
are.
I,
And
I believe
so
I believe
with
he's trying
right
to set Vivek up for a run for something.
Well, not even that, but I think it's because right now, if we have to get legislation, he wants it done as fast as possible because if anything does need to be changed
Yep.
legislatively, we have the House and the Senate, at least for now. Trump keeps pulling, representatives and senators for these positions. Luckily, they're in red districts, and a lot of them are from Florida. But if we have the House and the Senate and we don't get things done, it's all on Republicans. You can't blame Democrats,
Yep.
when we're in control of everything. And so we've got the next 2 years to get a lot of stuff done. And I like the fact that Donald Trump was already, before the election even started, they were doing transitions already. Like they had a transition team in place, and so on day one they should be ready. Like Trump has come out pretty quickly with all these cabinet picks.
Yep. I remember when he was first doing picks. Oh my gosh. It was like one or two. I felt like forever to get
Yeah,
his initial his first go around. He's kind of spitting them out.
yeah, and so that brings us to our most controversial pick, and
Oh
that
yeah.
is Matt Gaetz.
Oh, let me take this one. Let me take this
You
one.
you go first
Let me take it.
because I
All
have
right.
some
So
thoughts.
so Matt Gaetz. This is. I don't think that this one. I don't think he's actually going to be confirmed. Do I think he would still? Would he actually make a good attorney general? Yeah, I mean he's a lawyer.
Mm,
He checks all the boxes and all that stuff. But I don't think he's actually going to get confirmed. This is what I think. So at the beginning of the show, what's the strategic advantage? Is there a political advantage? Is there what does Trump get by doing these things? Watch the sequence of events and put everything on the chessboard, just the way it is, and think about what moves can be made and how will things play out. Okay, so with Matt Gaetz, he was offered the attorney general position. He accepted it and immediately resigned from office. Okay, so he has. I think was it yesterday? I think yesterday was supposed to be his like Senate hearing, whatever thing or whatever. Like they're
No,
gonna.
the health ethics
Yes,
report
the
was
House.
supposed to be
Yes.
released.
Okay, so
Pretty big coincidence.
if he is no longer a representative, then never gets released. I think they should release it not only to the public, but they should also release it to the Senate. We need to know who our representatives are. It doesn't matter who was doing it. If it is factually true, I don't want to. Well, Russian asset, Russian. No, I don't want any of that. Do that crap. You can hold those cards. What I want to know is did he actually do sexual like I don't want Russia told me no
Yeah.
I want specific facts and I need the whole court system needs to
Yeah,
fall in
and
line and do their job and if he's actually done something wrong he needs to pay for it. Okay,
yeah, well,
with that said, this is the strategic thing that I'm thinking is happening. So he got offered attorney general. He resigned from the House. He no longer has to deal with the ethics committee BS. Okay. Then he still has to be confirmed by the Senate, even if they don't get that report. I still don't think he's going to be confirmed from the Senate that he can't be attorney general and he's out of the House. He's already resigned from the House.
oh
So
yeah,
he's done.
yeah, he put all of his eggs in one basket.
So if that's the case, then Trump just single-handedly removed Matt Gaetz from. And remember, Matt Gaetz was the one. Matt Gaetz was the one that removed Kevin McCarthy from the House,
Yep.
and then that's how we got Mike Johnson. And in one of Trump's uh, whatever speeches, he looked over at Mike Johnson and he said, our little secret, Mike. and I think this is it. I think this is their strategic advantage play to get Matt Gaetz and then Matt Gaetz can run for something else, or he can run it for Florida governor and lose in 2028
Well,
or six or whatever it is. But
28
that's what I think.
or 26 actually.
Yeah, 26.
But so the one thing that I find interesting is what you said, the strategic part of it, because I think it's going to make the rest of the appointments just kind of squeak on by, and they're going to
Yep.
focus all on this. Now, I saw something yesterday that said that there's over 30 Republican
Yeah.
senators that
Yeah.
will vote no on Matt Gaetz.
Yes, as they should.
They need 51. No Democrat is going to vote for him.
Are
And
you sure? Are you sure?
oh yeah, no
Are you
Democrat
sure?
wants Matt Gaetz
Strategic.
as
Think about the strategic advantage
even
of allowing
strategically.
even.
Even
Are you
strategically,
sure?
yes, because for one, they're not going to do that to their own party, even if it makes Trump look bad, because it's going to make Democrats look bad as well. Because
No. I think there's going to be some Democrats that are going to shock you with that one.
no, because there's literally it's not like selecting a new leader. There's going to be you get to see who votes yes and who votes no, if I'm not correct.
I believe that's true.
And so they're not going to just side with him. And so you're going to have a lot of people that have come out against this. And if anything,
Mm-hmm.
Trump will replace Gates with someone else when he doesn't get confirmed. And he'll be like, then that person will get confirmed because it's obviously better than Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz will essentially not have a job because he won't be
Yep.
in Congress anymore. But I do think the health ethics report needs to be released because, for one, and I got into this with some people the other day. They're like, "This is America. You don't have to prove your innocence. You have to prove they're, innocent until proven guilty." And I'm like, in this instance, he needs to prove his innocence because he's nominated to be attorney general. Like,
Yeah.
there's all of this. If there's evidence, it needs to be seen, if not by the public, by the Senate committee that is going to, ask him questions and eventually, confirm him or not confirm him based
Yep.
on this evidence. And there is evidence, and there's Republicans in Congress who, on accounts, have seen him brag about women he's slept with or, drugs that he's done. And
What
for
was going
people,
on with
for
him at the RNC? What was going on with his
Botox
face?
and Botox. But on top of that, I don't know if people are on who all is on TikTok, but Matt Gates' sister-in-law has come out and she has repeatedly said how creepy he is, how he tried to like put her with one of his like 40-year-old friends, and I think she's in her 20s or something. But Ginger Gates's sister thinks he's a creep. And I think that mixed with everything else, everything I don't like Kevin McCarthy really, but I don't think he's a dishonest man when it comes to, someone's character. And if he's going to, you know, make an accusation like that, I'm pretty sure he's seen some stuff on Matt Gaetz. So I think out of all of Trump's cabinet picks, him and Kristi Noem are the two that I dislike the most. Now, with Kristi Noem, I may not like her as a person, but I think in her position, she'll do a decent job.
Yeah.
With Matt Gaetz, I don't like him. I don't like him as a person. I don't like what he did to the House to make us. It's a wonder that we still have the majority
Yeah.
after all the crap that he pulled. And now, of course, we have Speaker Johnson, who I think is worse than
Rhino.
Kevin McCarthy. I
Oh
think he's
yeah.
worse than Kevin McCarthy because Kevin McCarthy, he at least was bipartisan, and he was the biggest fundraiser the GOP had.
Yep. I
And
don't
so
know. I
when
don't
we
know
lost
why he
Kevin
backstabbed
McCarthy,
him like that.
because of the House Ethics Committee, that report, and obviously he resigned 2 days before, you know, it was supposed to be released, and of course they came out and said, "Oh, it's so that they can appoint someone quicker." I'm not
Yeah, no,
buying
I'm
that.
not buying that one.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
buying it.
but time will tell. I think out of all of the picks, he's the one that will not get confirmed.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that out of all the picks, I think he's the only one, and maybe even he might go first, and they might have limited time on the rest of them. Because I mean, he's gonna get fried.
Yeah,
He's
but
the only way he gets confirmed as attorney general is if they allow recess appointments. And I don't quite know how that specific thing works, but I think they still have to go in for a to once everybody is back from recess. I think they still have to go in and still get confirmed. So yeah, I think Matt
yeah,
Gaetz
I
got
think
screwed. I think
for
strategically they removed him.
yeah, I think the only time that doesn't have to happen is if someone was already next in line, say, it was the deputy attorney general, and then they just become attorney general. The Senate doesn't have to confirm them then. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think it's the only other, Senate confirmations that we'll probably have after all of this is said and done is if Justice Thomas and Justice Alito step down and Trump gets to appoint two new Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, I
Because
think that's going
if
to
he
happen.
if he does that, I am going to just laugh, because that will mean out of the nine Supreme Court justices, Trump will have appointed five.
Yeah, but
And
at least one of those is kind of a rhino.
oh, you talking about Amy Coney Barrett?
Yeah, I'm not very happy with the way she's been voting.
I haven't been happy with her, and Brett Kavanaugh, he's kind of hit or miss. The only like true conservative that he appointed was Neil Gorsuch. He's been the only one that I have been like very pleased with, and so we'll see. I'm hoping, with Mitch gone and Trump surrounded by more people that are loyal to him and have a better, I guess, understanding of his agenda, that there will be more conservative judges. And I'm not just talking about Supreme Court justices, I'm talking about, all the different circuits. Um, but yeah, I think that's a good ending place for us. I think
Yep,
we
I
had a
think
pretty
so.
good episode without Mark. He should be back on our next show. I know he had a lot of stuff coming up. His daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and so I definitely understand that. Um, Also, to all of our listeners out there, I'm going to be a dad again.
Woo
And
woo.
so that's going to be awesome. Obviously, I have not announced it to my family. Well, not all of my family, but um, I haven't announced it to all of my Facebook friends. So this will probably not be going out on anywhere other than X and YouTube. But yeah, very excited about that. Say a quick prayer for my wife and I. Hopefully, it's a girl this time, so we can be done having kids. um, but yeah, Merry Christmas
No,
from me.
no,
I've got all of my
no.
Christmas stuff up,
You can
but
say Merry Christmas in 2 more weeks. It's still
no.
Thanksgiving time. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving's a holiday. Christmas is a season.
No, 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 no.
But Frost, you got.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday for anybody that. I mean, have you seen me? I love to
Yeah.
eat.
But anyways, You got anything else, man?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right. We will see you guys next time.